Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to everyone's favorite show about plastic surgery, health, and beauty. This is Nip Talk. In today's segments, first off, can plastic surgery be undetectable? That's a good question. Then, is your water bottle dirtier than a toilet seat? There's new research out that says that it might be. And then finally, Sarah's going to tell us all about the great fashion that was at this Emmys this past week, and it's all coming up right now.
Live from Lincoln Center in the heart of the Dallas Metroplex, this is Nip Talk. An honest and uncensored show about plastic surgery, health, beauty, and lifestyle with your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann, and your co-host, entrepreneur and social media influencer Sarah Bennett. Now it's time to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the topics everyone is talking about. It's time for Nip Talk.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Please hit that like and subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you know when we have new videos out. I'm your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann, and with me is Sarah, as always. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
You look great today. I love your outfit.
Thanks.
Very good. Travis, still in the box there?
I am.
How you doing, man?
I am great. How about y'all?
Doing good. Yeah. So Sarah and I were talking about Halloween a minute ago. So I have this like Halloween quest that I'm on. And by the way, are you guys gonna come to the Halloween party this year?
Oh, I forgot you always
try.
do it.
All right, I'm gonna tell you. You guys show up. It's gonna be good because we always like have music there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, do you remember the DJ in Denton, Reverend Paul?
Well, I remember you talking about him.
Oh, was I? Was I just talking about this?
Yes. We talked about it last week.
Oh, I got a hold of him.
You did?
We did. Did we talk about this last
Yeah.
week?
You
Like
messaged our mutual friend to see if you knew him. Or see if they knew him.
We didn't talk about it on air, though.
No.
Oh, okay, all right. So there's this DJ in Denton, Trey.
Okay.
And this guy spins old school vinyl. And he's really, really, really good. Like, we used to go watch him. I think we saw him together when we did the pub crawl at Final Lounge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, like, hatched this idea. We're going to get the Reverend Paul to come DJ this party.
Oh, that's dope.
But he moved out of town. Like, he like, left. So I was like, well, I'm not going to let that stop me, right? Like, I mean, he could travel, right, for a gig, you know? He's a musician. So I ended up, so our mutual friend, didn't have his number. So then I started going to the bars in Denton and asking, like, hey, you guys remember Reverend Paul? And they're like, yeah, Reverend Paul. And I was like, anyone have his phone number? Nope. And then finally some guy's like, I know someone that has his number. His name's Gideon. I never didn't know who that was. So I finally tracked down this guy, and I'm like, hey, man, I'm trying to get a hold of Reverend Paul. And, of course, I'm some random person coming up to you saying, can I get a phone number out of your phone for somebody? So I finally talked him into it. And I get the phone number, and I text him, and it's just crickets, like nothing. I'm like, oh, man. But I didn't want to give up. So I called him yesterday, and he answered. And I'm like, hey, man, I was like, we met years ago, and I just want to know if you're still DJing. He's like, yeah, sort of. I don't do as much gigs. I was like, well, I kind of like you to have come up and do a party. He's like, you want me to come from Austin to Dallas to do a DJ party? I was like, yeah, dude, yeah. So anyway, it may happen. We're trying to work it out. But he has like a real, he's doing like full-time radio now.
Oh, okay.
He's not doing as much gigs as he used to.
Right on.
But I think we're going to make it.
It's more reliable for him.
It is more reliable for sure. But
Yeah.
I think he might make a comeback to the Denton area to spin his
fun.
vinyl. I know. I love like DJs that spin vinyl. I mean, you just don't see that. Everything's
Yeah.
digital these days.
Yeah.
Like to roll vinyl, I mean, it takes skill.
Yeah. Well, shout out the radio DJ.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't have to catch a show. I mean, I'm sure it's probably pretty good. Just 'cause he's like very talented,
Yeah.
But I think you do talk radio, right, Trey?
So it's we play music. I don't actually spin. Like I'm not a DJ in the sense of like I spin records.
Right. You're like a radio DJ.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But we do play music.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh, I
we
thought
play
it was
music.
pure talk.
Oh,
It's kind of a
no.
mix.
Yeah, it's like so it's a morning show. So we talk, do stories, but then we play music too.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need, I'm ashamed to say I haven't caught. I don't listen to the radio
Yeah.
in the car.
Yeah.
I have, digital stuff.
Sure.
I used to be like a really into that, and I need to catch your show, man.
Man, please don't.
Oh,
you
dude,
might look at me different if you see the show.
Hey, my daughter.
No,
I turned on the radio, and my daughter heard like a Sabrina Carpenter song, like a new. She's like a trending pop star right now.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh my gosh, the radio plays new music."
Uh,
And I was like, Yeah, she's like, why? How is this happening? I was like, well, live TV. That's kind of how radio works. She's like, so whenever you hear a song and it's in the middle of it, or it's like at the end, you just miss the song, and that's it. And I was like, yeah. She's like, you can't rewind it, you can't start over. I was like, nope.
That's hilarious.
You're gonna have to have the conversation about well, you may not have done that with the cassette tapes, trying to record stuff off the radio.
No, I had that.
You did?
Oh,
Okay.
sheesh.
Yeah, that was like my whole life growing up. It's just like, oh, starting to record. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll keep you guys updated on
Please.
on the Reverend Paul. I'm gonna ask you if he'll like dress up like a priest. Since it's a costume party, right?
Yeah,
That'd be sick to have like a priest like DJing.
that would be cool.
How awesome would that
funny.
be? Yeah, right? All right, to be continued with the Reverend Paul. All right, let's do some segments. So, first segment today is from a clip that went viral on social media. And it actually is a great topic. I love, I'm always surfing social media to see like what's out there because a lot of them end up being pretty interesting topics.
Yeah.
And this was from Ariel Laura. Have you guys ever heard of her? She's a
No.
podcaster.
Uh-uh.
Her podcast, I've heard the name before, The Blonde Files. I've heard that somewhere in my diggings around on the internet.
Yeah.
That was like her old podcast, and I think she rebranded it, and now it's called Well with Ariel Laura. And I throw that picture up there, Travis. I wanted to plug her thing since she was good enough to. It's the second one, yeah. So,
Okay, gotcha.
It's really popular. She talks about a whole bunch of things. So this comes from a little segment that she did, and the segment is can plastic surgery be undetectable? Which I think this is a great topic. And I was gonna ask you guys, because of course I'm gonna go through some here, which I'm gonna kind of do it in a fun way. But is there certain plastic surgeries that either of you guys think are clearly obvious that people had, or are there surgeries that you think it's really hard to tell? Like,
I would say if you don't know the person, I think it would be
Yeah.
easy to not know that they had like a nose job.
oh, that's really good. Yeah,
Or, like obviously
excellent.
a breast implants, as long as they're done like
Yeah.
appropriate to their size, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, Trey, what do you think, man?
I'm not sure about that one. I feel like I can kind of tell like when
Yeah.
somebody's had some work done, but I guess I would co-sign what Sarah said, the nose job.
Yeah,
No.
you guys are good. Like that, actually, spoilers going to be on my number one. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to talk about popular plastic surgeries. I'm going to rank them. This is my opinion, of course, but I mean, I do a little bit of everything, so I think that most people agree this is pretty accurate. And so I'm going to rank these with 10 being like the most undetectable, right? And then I'm going to go down the list. And I put 10 as a surgery that's undetectable even if you're looking for that specific procedure.
Cool.
Okay? So at number 10 and the number 1 I have is
Nose job.
rhinoplasty. Yeah, absolutely. And of course I'm gonna throw a little disclaimer out there. This is for like good work, right? I mean, because if
Yeah.
somebody has bad work, like you're gonna know that it
Like when
has,
it looks like too like
yeah,
points.
too pinched or too, and I mean
Yeah.
that for everything that I'm about to talk about. If you get bad work done, unfortunately, people are probably going to be able to tell, and maybe even be able to tell, through your clothes or whatever. So when we're talking about things that are undetectable, we're talking about good work. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's.
We're talking about Dr. Bruce.
Yeah, Dr.
work.
Bruce. That's right. Thank you, Thank you,
Certified.
Sarah. Appreciate that. All right, very good. Okay, so yeah, I think rhinoplasty would probably be number 1 or tied for number 1.
Okay.
Because most of the incisions for rhinoplasty are inside the nose, and so and they're also on normal lines like break points, and
Yeah.
so even if you knew someone had a rhinoplasty and you were looking for the incisions, you very well may not be able to see them. And I actually don't do rhinoplasty anymore. That's one of the things that I don't do.
I feel like that surgery makes a lot of people happy, especially for those that have like
Yeah.
those bigger, I don't know the medical term, but like
the big cartilage.
when
where they
they
shave
it's
down.
bigger
Yeah.
or something. I feel like it makes people like really happy.
Totally.
When
I would agree with that. Rhinoplasty, the reason I quit doing rhinoplasty is, I think you have to be like a big surgeon to say something like this. I mean, if you're going to do rhinoplasties, you need to do them a lot.
Yeah.
Because those surgeries can get really, really complex and not quite in an artistic way as some of the surgeries I do, like just functionally or step by step, they are super complex because you're harvesting cartilage from like inside the nose or the ear.
Do you have to deal with any bones?
Yeah, sometimes, like the nasal bones. Your nasal bones are actually way up high. Like the bones of your nose are actually, I'm pinching.
And you don't have to deal with that stuff whenever you do the breasts.
Yeah, I mean, it may sound bad, but I mean, rhinoplasties are serious work. Some of them are. Some are easy. Like I did some dorsal hump reductions, which basically means somebody's got like a bumpy. That's actually really easy to do.
Okay.
And I still do nasal trauma. Like if you break your nose, I mean, I can fix it and make it look fine. But some of the really complex things, like decreasing the ala or reshaping the nose, I mean, they get super complex super quick. If they have complications, they can be bad. Mm-hmm. And so, I specially train in breast and body. I didn't specially train in nose. I did a couple easy ones without any problems. But then, people started wanting really complex things. I was like, you know what? Maybe you should see somebody that does these all the time.
Yeah.
Which I think is a smart thing to do, personally.
So.
But anyway, so that's rhinoplasty. I think tied for rhinoplasty, I also ranked this one to 10 would be eyelids, blepharoplasties, which people might find surprising because the incisions for blepharoplasties are a little bit more visible, but the thing is though, number one, the eyelids heal great, and two, the incisions fall on lines that are naturally there, like creases, not necessarily break points like on the nose, but like creases, like where your eyelids fold.
Yeah.
And so I've had people come in that have had eyelids done, and I totally missed it. They would say, "Oh, I've had a blepharoplasty." I'm like, "Oh, you have?" And I'm like looking, really closely, and that's kind of how they should be. And I still do a fair amount of blepharoplasties or eyelids, and I would say the same thing, with my patients. It's really hard to tell. Okay, so moving on to the next group. So I ranked these a 9. So for a 9, I said a 9 would be undetectable unless you were specifically looking for that procedure, meaning you thought someone had procedure X and you go and you look for it specifically. Yeah. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't notice it. So I put breast augmentation.
Yeah.
Because if done properly and if people get an implant that's not obscene, it can look completely natural. Yeah. And then the only thing left behind is the incision for it, but that incision is put in the crease of the breast where the breast meets the chest wall. Yeah. And there's a natural line there. And it's in an area that heals very, very well because there's very little tension on it, and they tend to be almost imperceptible. And so, like for my wife, for example, I mean, I know she has incisions, but unless I get a flashlight, I can't find them. Yeah. So I would say rank number 9, meaning unless you're specifically looking, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
The other one I put is facelift and neck lift. That's one that people can have, and it can, if done properly, it can be pretty hard to tell because the incisions run. Let me turn my ear the right way. The incisions run right on the crease of the ear and then behind the ear. Yeah. And really, the only spot that you can see it is up in the hairline if you know where to look. So I think most people that get facelift and neck lifts, unless someone's really specifically looking for that, that's going to be one that's really hard to tell. Next for number 8. So 8 I wrote could be undetectable or might be noticed randomly.
Okay.
Meaning even if you weren't specifically looking for it, you might see the incision for this. And I put liposuction.
Okay.
You shouldn't be able to see the area that's been lipoed and say they've had lipo. That shouldn't be what you would detect. But you do have to make incisions, and those incisions are oftentimes out in the open. Yeah. We try to hide them, like maybe the bikini line or in like a crease or a natural fold, but they're still there. Mm-hmm. And even though they're really tiny, because they're kind of out in the open as opposed to the breast one that's hidden underneath the breast, you can see them. So I would put liposuction as, pretty hard to tell, but definitely can tell. All right, moving on to what I ranked number 7. For this I put you possibly would notice it randomly, but it might be missed. So basically just a little bit more noticeable than the last one. So I put breast lifts. Okay. Most of the time you're gonna see breast lift scars. If they're perfect, you might miss them, but most of the time you're gonna see them. The other one I put, which I don't like this surgery at all, is Brazilian butt lift. Yeah. Brazilian butt lift is a combination of fat injection and liposuction. So there's really, really tiny incisions. You might notice that.
Where do they put them on their butts? Like anywhere.
Those would be hard to see because the incisions for injecting are like literally a millimeter or 2. Okay. Because the cannulas that you inject the fat with are really small. Okay. So those are tiny, but the liposuction ones would be visible. And then it's like, would you notice that the butt was, lumpy on one side or the other? I mean, maybe.
I can usually tell when people
Well, yeah, and
like
the other
it,
thing
but-
too is people oftentimes go overboard with that. Like they get a ton put in, and so like they have this like shelf kind of Kim Kardashian look.
Yeah. I think I've always been able to tell just because women that have big butts like that tend to have bigger thighs too. And
Right,
that's
and you see-
whenever you have
You see
somebody
these like
with a,
really skinny girls with really large butts. You're
yeah,
like, you've had
like
surgery.
their thighs are like super tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Well,
no.
plus too, like the Brazilian butt lift. We've talked about this before that. One of the issues is getting enough fat tissue, and so what happens is they basically get all the fat in every area of their body sucked out, so they look like really skinny, and then they have this huge butt. Which I mean, like I said, I've said this before that if done properly, they can actually look really good. I just have an issue with the safety profile.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to ones that are ranked 6. So 6, I put very likely to be noticed randomly and would be very unusual for someone to not see it. Now, of course, this is out of clothes, right? All of these are if you're out of clothes, because I mean, in clothes, almost any plastic surgery.
Nude beach.
Yeah, nude beach, topless beach, right? Yeah. So I put breast reduction. So
Okay.
breast reduction and breast lift are pretty commonly, but the reason I ranked breast reduction below breast lift on the undetectability radar is that with breast reductions, they're larger surgeries. There's a little bit more tension on things. You're a little bit more likely to notice that the breast has been worked on.
Don't you have that, like, you always talk about like a hook?
Yeah, right. So, yeah, and that's the other thing, too, is for breast lift and breast reduction to be really, have the highest chance of being undetectable, you do need, like, a short scar. The old ways of doing breast lift and breast reductions eventually, I think, are going to be phased out. I've been doing short scar lifts now for 15 years and reductions. I've done definitely into the thousands of those, and they're great. Like, there's no reason to do that big scar outside of you just don't know how to do it the other way. I put thigh lifts, and of course this one's a little bit question mark because there's the medial thigh lift where the incision hides in the bikini line, and there's the extended thigh lift, which is a vertical incision. That's for like people who've had massive weight loss, like or like taken had a lot of Ozempic. So if you get the one where the incision's down in your thigh, I mean it's going to be obvious. That would be like like really low. If you get the one, the medial thigh lift, then it can, sometimes be hidden, but yeah, it's gonna be pretty obvious. Let's see. Number 5, or it's not number 5, but ranked number 5, and this is one I put, everyone will notice out of clothes. All right, so pretty much everyone's gonna notice you've had this. And I love this surgery, but people are gonna notice this tummy tuck.
Yeah.
Tummy tucks are great surgeries. It can totally transform your abdomen from something you don't want to something that you really like. But the trade-off is you get a scar. And if you're completely out of your clothes, that scar is going to be visible for sure because it's long. Now, if we're talking like in a bikini or in like, underwear, you can sometimes hide it because it does follow the bikini line. But out of clothes, but most people that get it are very happy with it.
Yeah.
It's such a big change, and I love doing tummy tucks because people are just like, wow, this is life-changing. But yeah, the scar is a little bit noticeable. And then the last one that I put on here is arm lift, which also I love arm lifts. People really like these surgeries. The people that get the bat wings.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen anybody like that's had weight loss. Those become very, people can be very self-conscious about that. And you can totally correct it. I mean, you can make the arm contour look perfect, but there's going to be a scar, and it's going to be fairly noticeable. So, but yeah, I thought that was a really interesting topic that they were talking about. I'm not sure we've ever done one about like which surgeries are the hardest to tell, and so that's my list. I'm not saying it's the perfect list, but I think that you could make an argument that it's pretty solid based on all the various reasons I talked about. So, yeah.
I take a scar. I mean, I have. I do
Yeah.
have scars.
Yeah, and the thing about that is, some people, I've had people come in and they say, I get a lot of tummy tuck consults, and they're like, I want to get a tummy tuck, but I'm afraid of the scar. And I'm just like, it is what it is. I mean, I will close it in a manner to make it as invisible as possible, but it's just a long scar if you want to get rid of all that extra skin. And, it's a trade-off. It's not a surgery where the scar is going to be completely hidden.
What's the best option if they don't want to get a tummy tuck? If they don't have any like abdominal muscle issues?
That's tough. I mean,
What if it's like minor?
you could do like lipo to debulk it, and then you could do a skin tightening procedure. Like we have our skin tightening lasers, and then Morpheus 8, which is really popular. Kim K loves that one. Would probably be your best option, but it's not a great option.
Yeah, because one of my friends, she's like really petite, like me, and she has no ounce of fat on her, and her stomach is
She's
just
got loose skin.
Yeah, so she was asking me about it.
Yeah, I would tell her if she doesn't want to have surgery, then, Morpheus 8, they have a body attachment that's pretty good at tightening up skin. But,
I honestly don't think hers is that bad. Like, I don't think hers is that bad to get a tummy tuck.
Oh, really? Tell her to swing by. I mean, I can give her at least an honest opinion about it.
Yeah.
Skin tightening procedures, as we've talked about in other segments, they're a tiny bit hit or miss.
Right.
Like they always work to a certain degree, but it's like how much?
Yeah.
How well is it going to work? And I've had people that have had amazing results from it, and then we do the same treatment on someone else, and it's like they get it's different, but maybe not as
people heal different too.
Yeah, they do,
so.
And some of it's genetic, like quality skin stuff. So, but yeah, I thought that was a really interesting segment. So. Thanks to Ariel Laura for talking about that and bringing it up. Nice. All right, let's move on. This one is a good one. Yeah, I like this one.
Talking about toilet water?
Not exactly.
Oh.
Do any of you guys, Travis, Sarah, you have one of those Stanley cups or water bottles?
My daughter does. She's obsessed with Stanley cups. But I have like a gem water bottle that I don't even want to know about it.
You're about to find out.
That I like rarely wash it.
Yeah. Trey, you use any of those water bottles?
I do. I have like a big, I don't know what the brand is, I forgot, but I do have one.
All right, you guys are going to have to
You're
listen up.
not a Stanley Cup man?
No, not at all.
You don't have the accessories?
Dude, that whole Stanley Cup
Not
thing,
at
all right,
all.
I'm going to derail my own segment here. Like, what is this obsession with the Stanley Cups? Like, my daughter fell into that too. She's like, I have to have a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I refuse to buy her one. Her dad
I'm
bought
just
her
like,
one.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, I do use, so I don't know what the word is for those.
Insulated?
Insulate, is it just
Like the metal insulated
yes,
ones?
a metal insulated cup.
Yeah,
I have
those
a cup.
have been around forever.
Yeah, they have. Yeti was like the first
Yeah.
one, right? Yeah.
Everybody used to have a Yeti.
Yeah, and so I do use those, but I use them for like, I have one that I got as a gift, like a best man gift, that's like a tumbler, and so I mix drinks in it.
Yeah.
Because it'll keep it cold forever.
Yeah.
And then if I'm out by the pool, I have one that I think I got from one of the hospitals that has my name on it, and I'll put like soda or water, sometimes a drink in it to sit by the pool because it keeps it cold.
Yeah.
But this obsession with like the Stanley cups, I just don't get.
Yeah.
Like it's a cup.
There was like a thing that came out about like some Stanley cups having like lead poisoning in it.
Oh God.
And so like Avery, my daughter, was super scared of it. So
Really?
because she watches little like YouTube reels and like all that stuff, and she'll go on like
Stanley
she got
Cup's gonna give
paranoid.
you
She was
lead
like,
poisoning.
"Mom, I need to get my Stanley Cup tested for lead." So like I just ordered a little lead testing kit. They're like,
Did you really test it?
yeah,
And it was negative.
yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, it just made her feel better. She's like, I'm never using this again. And I was like,
Oh
oh
my
my God.
Well, we can't deny that reusable water bottles are extremely popular, and this question has popped up: is are they a potential source of harm? There was a new study that came out, and it suggests that your water bottle might be dirtier than your toilet seat. This is from a website called waterfilterguru.com.
Okay.
Travis, I think I got that's it. If you want to look them up. I don't know how scientific their study was. I kind of read through it. I mean, it's not like a study that comes out in a medical journal. This is this organization that did a study. And what they did is they took a bunch of water bottles of different types, actually, which was pretty interesting. And they did 3 cultures of each one looking for bacteria.
Okay.
And they found a lot of bacteria. They found gram-negative rods and bacillus, which are, just common bacteria that are out there, and also ones that are easier to grow in water, which makes sense. And they looked at CFUs, which is colony forming units. So exactly, how many individual bacteria is there for a certain area? And the results were pretty surprising. So the average CFUs on a water bottle was 21 million.
Okay.
21 million bacteria. It's a pretty high number. But bacteria is small, so, And the type made a big difference. So this is where, if you guys like water bottles, then this is where you want to listen up. If it was a spout lid or screw top lid, it had on average 30 million.
What's a spout lid?
A spout
It's
lid,
like pour. You can like pour it into your mouth.
a spout's the one where you flick it like you put your finger on, you flick it, and it pops up.
Okay.
And then you drink it.
Okay.
Screw top obviously is the ones like the metal ones you see, like almost like a canteen.
Okay.
Okay. They had pictures of them. Don't feel bad. I was like kind of confused. I had to like look at the pictures. Like, wait, spout, screw. What is all this? So spout lid and screw top lid were the worst. Okay. That was 30 million. A straw lid was not as bad. It had 20 million. So straw lids are the ones where it's got like a little stopper and you flick it and then you like put straw in your mouth.
Yeah, that's the one Avery has. I have the one that's the dirtiest, I guess.
Oh, you do. The best one, and I don't know why this is, was a squeeze top lid, which is one where you just, I guess it's got a little stopper internal and you just dump it over and you squeeze it. And it only had 3 million. It had 10 times less back.
So like the old school one where you can open it with your mouth.
I guess, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's probably because you don't have to touch it with your hands.
Bingo! That's exactly right. Yeah, the ones you have to touch with your hands are going to have a lot more bacteria. And that is, that is the reason that these things have such high bacteria counts. I mean, anything that you touch with your hands is going to have bacteria on it because you touch doorknobs and you touch these cups and I'm touching this table and I'm touching these note cards and you touch stuff and there's bacteria everywhere and it picks up on your hands and then you touch your water bottle where there's water, which is a good source for bacteria to get nutrients and grow. And also a lot of those things have like little parts in the bacteria get into like the crevices or the latches and all that.
And then if you put other stuff in it besides water.
Bam, that's exactly right.
Gross,
sugary drinks, bacteria love sugary drinks.
Yeah.
And they can really, really grow. And so they went on and did a little bit more testing, and they compared the bacterial counts to common items in your house. So they compared it to a toilet seat. So they used the average. 21 million was for the water bottles. Toilet seat had an average of 500, which that sounds pretty low to me. But I guess you're not touching it with your hands.
Hopefully not.
And hopefully not. And I assume that toilets get cleaned pretty regularly. So the count was actually pretty low. So pet bowl, the average pet bowl has 1.5 million CFUs or colony forming units. So that was about what would that be? 15 times less. Computer mouse, average computer mouse has 4 million bacteria on it, or coliform units, which is 7 times lower than 21 million. And then the kitchen sink has an average of 12 million. So, which makes sense. It's water.
Yeah.
You do touch it. You don't touch it as much, though, I think. And I think that's why it might have half as much. So, of course, that brings up the next question of, okay, well, if I'm going to use a water bottle, how am I going to keep these bacteria counts down? And of course the answer is you have to wash these things.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure a lot of people
Did they compare in the study, did they compare how much bacteria is on like a one that's been cleaned like once a day?
They didn't get into that amount of detail. No.
I'd be interested because everything has bacteria on it.
Right, exactly. I would assume that they tested one that's been used all day, I would guess. Because you're right. I mean, everything has bacteria on it. These numbers sound really high and scary, but then it's like, oh, well, my kitchen sink that, in my kitchen around my food has 12 million. Computer mouse has 4. So, the recommendation was if you want to keep these bacteria counts low as possible, you need to wash it after each use, which means that, that means you might have to wash these things. There are people out there that will go through several bottles a day.
Yeah.
You really need to wash it after each use. And then once a week, you need to sanitize it. So that means like soak it in super hot water or some other type of soap to get the bacteria off those little crevices and stuff where they hide. And they looked at how often people wash these things, and honestly, it was a little bit better than I thought. It was a little bit over half of the people wash these things every day. I kind of assumed the worst, that very few people are washing these things.
I need to wash Avery's. I need to
yeah,
put
it makes you
dishwasher.
think.
The Stanley ones though are dishwasher safe.
Are they?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, that's nice.
And whenever the straw, that's the only part that can get like bacteria in it is the straw, and you can wash that in this washing machine too.
Oh, can you?
The dishwasher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also have to ask, okay, there's all this bacteria on these things. Are people getting sick from this? I mean,
maybe it's helping their immune system.
I don't think they are.
They're hydrated, at least.
Right. It makes it easier to fight off those infections. I mean, there's bacteria on everything around us, and we're constantly, shaking hands, we're touching doorknobs. I mean, we've got bacteria all over us.
Yeah.
It's a little harder for bacteria to grow on us, but, we're exposed to bacteria all the time. And, I'm not surprised that there's a lot of bacteria on these water bottles, but I'm also not sure that we need to sound the alarms and start, this massive campaign to, yes, people should be washing these things, but obviously people are going through their days and drinking these water bottles, and they're not all getting sick.
Yeah, I think it's something to think about, but not
Right.
something to dwell on. Like, hey, maybe this is, if you're listening, maybe this is your cue to be like,
Yeah,
I guess maybe I should wash
Yeah,
that.
I should wash this thing once a day,
Yeah, rinse it out a little
And
bit.
I think it's good to know that, things like using sugary drinks are going to increase the bacterial counts. And if you're somebody that's immunocompromised, or if maybe someone in your family's immunocompromised, then maybe this is a little bit more important.
At least they're not reusing plastic water bottles. That's really bad for you, isn't it? Like the plastic, because it
Yes,
degrades.
it doesn't?
People sometimes will reuse like plastic.
Like plastic water bottles? That sounds like a bad idea.
It is. It's a horrible idea.
I've never done any research into if this
People be doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
So much out there you have to watch out for these days. It's a
People
wonder-
that think they're like recycling. I'm like, but you're putting microplastics in your body.
Oh, the
when
micro.
You do that.
We've never talked about the microplastics.
Yeah.
You see article. We should probably do a segment about microplastics.
We need to. I think it's like, I've heard like it affects guys a lot with their testosterone levels.
Really? All right, I'm gonna have to look at it. I've seen the articles on the microplastics, and I was just like, no, I don't want to talk about microplastics.
You don't want to know about it.
I know,
There's so much plastic everywhere.
I probably have these things just infesting in me, and I don't even know it. But yeah, pretty interesting topic. So I guess we'll recap this one. Trey, let me do that. So today on Nip Talk, we were talking about a recent study by waterfilterguru.com that suggested that your reusable water bottle, like your Stanley Cup or Yeti, is actually dirtier than a toilet seat. They were taking cultures off these water bottles and seeing how many bacteria were on them and comparing them to other household items. And surprise, surprise, if you culture a water bottle, it is going to grow bacteria. The main reason for that is people touch them with their hands a lot, which our hands have bacteria on it, and these things have stagnant water, which is a great place for bacteria to grow. It does depend on what type of water bottle you have, as how much bacteria. Some of the worst ones are spout lids and screw top lids, which can have 30 million colony forming units. Straw lids are kind of in the middle of 20 million. The best is the squeeze top lid, the lowest 3 million. Compared to household items, yes, these things actually have a lot more bacteria on them than things like a toilet seat or a dog bowl or your computer mouse or a kitchen sink. I don't think people are really getting super sick from these bacteria, but it does make you think that maybe you should wash these things. They are recommended to be washed after every use, even if that's multiple times a day, and sanitize them once a week to keep these bacteria counts down, which can be important if you or someone in your household is immunocompromised. Something to think about. So, cool stuff.
Yeah.
I think
it brings about a new like way of thinking with like everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
On your straw.
Yes.
Or on your water bottle.
I mean, in my biz,
everything and the toilet seat.
yeah, I mean, that might
is
be the
on
cleanest
yours.
place in the house, the
Yeah.
toilet seat, according to that study. Yeah, I mean, being a doctor, I fully realize there's bacteria all over everything. I mean, I remember when I got into med school and looking at studies about how much bacteria the doctor's stethoscope has on it,
Yeah,
and
I've
it brought
read
up,
that too.
should we carry stethoscopes? And fortunately, I don't carry a stethoscope these days. I have one. It's in my truck in case I ever need to listen for a heart murmur out in the field or something.
On the highways.
On the highway. Can I get you guys to slow down so I can listen to this heart murmur?
You seem stressed. Let me check that.
Yeah, right. But yeah, interesting stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's time for a Sarah segment.
Yeah, some
I love
fashion.
Sarah's- I love fashion, so I'm ready. I'm excited.
Okay, you can throw up the first thing if
So-
you want. Sure. Okay, so this is the top 3 best dress
For the
Emmys for the
Nice.
Emmys, and this comes from Cosmo.
Mm.
And the first girl in the red dress is Anna Sawai, and she's wearing a Vera Wang. I really like this dress.
I like that too.
It's very pretty, and she looks very pretty.
It looks really, really good. I would agree with that one.
I don't know what TV show she's from, though.
I don't either. She doesn't look familiar to me, but I do love her dress. I love the asymmetry of it with that kind of mini. What would you call that? A
Peplum.
Mini, what is it called?
A peplum at the bottom. That little ruffle.
Yes, the ruffle. Peplum. Okay, I learned a new word today. Trey, did you know about peplum?
I did.
You did?
I pepple them all the time.
I think you're
I
messing with
wear
me.
peplum.
I'll
I was
believe
like,
you.
Travis,
No,
let me see your peplum top.
definitely messing with you.
Okay, and then the second one is Greta Lee Low, and I'm not Greta Lee, in Low. So her name's Greta Lee, and she's wearing Low.
I have to say I don't like that one as much.
Neither do I.
It looks like a bathrobe.
Yeah, me and Travis were talking about it. I said lampshade, and he said a
Shower curtain.
shower curtain.
So a bathrobe, shower curtain,
and now she's starting to
lampshade
look
dress.
like a loofah. So
It does kind of look loofah-ish.
I don't like. I mean, she's obviously a very pretty girl, but
No.
I don't like that dress at all.
no, I would not
If
wear
my
it.
wife came out of the bath or the bedroom wearing that, I'd be like, "What is that?"
Are you going to bed or going to be haunting somebody later?
Haunting so funny.
But no
Okey
offense,
dokey.
Greta.
No, she's a beautiful girl, and
Yes.
she's at the Emmys, so yeah.
She's
You
obviously
go.
talented. Okay, and the third girly is Quinta Brunson, and she's wearing George's Chakra Couture. I don't
like-
mind the dress,
I like it.
but I don't like the bows. I think if the bows were off, I would like it a lot more.
Yeah, you convinced me of that. I do like the dress though. It's very elaborate and just unique.
Yeah.
But not like too crazy unique that it's weird.
It's very Maleficent.
Ooh, Maleficent.
Yeah.
Wow.
the
I do
bows
kind of
weren't
agree with the
on there.
bows though. I'm not. in
Maybe
love with them.
like if there needed to be some type of like decoration.
Yeah, you know
I
what look good is
would
like
not
some
do
sort of
that.
like metal or like a buckle maybe.
Yeah, some
That'd
type
probably
of
look good.
metal or like a
Yeah.
gem,
Ooh, a gem. Yeah.
something. But yeah, those were their
overall, I
top
do like
three.
It. Okay.
And then these are my favorites, and they're not in any particular order. I just would actually, these were in their top 20,
Oh, okay.
but these are my favorites.
Okay.
So let me scroll to on my little way. Okay, so first one is Sofia Vergara, and she's wearing Dolce & Gabbana.
I love Dolce.
Yeah, she just looks awesome. You can't really see it in these pictures, but it's all, the fabric is all contoured and stuff.
Oh, is it?
Well, you can see it better on that picture right there. You see how it's contoured?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you can see it. It's just not on the screen we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Actually, I like it even more now. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
it's very pretty. And then obviously the next one is Jennifer Aniston, and she's wearing Oscar de la Renta. She always wears like a really classic
Yeah.
designer.
She looks great. I love
Yeah.
that dress.
And then the next one is
Dakota.
Dakota Fanning.
Oh, that's Dakota Fanning?
Yeah, she's
I haven't
gotten
seen her in
older,
forever.
huh?
Yeah, I mean, she's got to be what, like 30s now?
Yeah, she's like in my age. Yeah, 30s.
Yeah.
I think she might be a little older than me. Maybe.
Oh, really? Yeah. I just remember her being really young because when she came out, she was really young. And then, of course, you don't realize people age. And then
Yes.
20 years goes by.
She
and
has
you're
a
like,
sister that's an actress too.
Oh, does she? Mm-hmm. I think I've heard that.
She plays on this TV show about Queen Charlotte, Queen something. The one,
One of those British queens?
no,
Oh.
Russian.
Oh, like Anastasia?
No, Queen. That's she never became a queen.
Oh, that's right.
I forget what her name is. Anyways, that's her sister. But this is Dakota Fanning, and she's wearing Armani Privé.
I like it.
It's pretty. Okay, and then my next favorites, I really like this pink one. I think it's a very pretty, and it kind of has the same low cut thing that Sofia Vergara
Yeah,
had.
they're very
And
similar.
obviously, I think that's a theme that's been going on is that deep cut because Eliza has it, Sofia Vergara, the red dress girl, the first one we saw.
Oh, uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And then even the one that I said looked like
Yeah.
the dress that
It's like a
looked like
plunging,
Maleficent.
like a
yeah, like a
super
plunging.
neckline.
Yeah, but it's still like fitted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next one is obviously Selena Gomez. She's always been one of my favorites, and she's wearing Ralph Lauren.
Yeah. Classic look.
Yeah, and then
Looks
there
great.
was a guy on here too, and he's from Bridgerton. He's
Oh, okay.
famous from Bridgerton,
Okay.
and his name is Jonathan Bailey, and he's wearing Giorgio Armani.
It looks
I
very
think
sharp.
he looks very sharp. However, if I was a dude or if I was dating him or like whatever, I would not wear that cummerbund.
I
do
don't
not
love the
like
cummerbund
that.
either.
If I saw my boyfriend wear the cummerbund, I'd be like, you should probably take that off.
It's like a casual tux. I mean, I do like
Yeah.
it. I don't mean to dog it, but the
No, I
cummerbund-
think it looks great. I think it would look even better if he was not wearing that cummerbund. Even his little glasses look cool with it.
Yeah. I like it. I do
Yeah.
do think it's very sharp.
Yeah. Okay, and then these are the weirdest. The first two are from, or these are my weirdest. They said that these are the worst. I really don't think they were really that bad. They're just different.
Right. They're just trying to make a statement. Of
Yeah.
some
They're just
sort.
more, yeah. So, the green one her name is Nyia Wind, and she is from the drag race. She's a drag race star. So she's from, I think, RuPaul.
Yeah.
So her and Amanda Tori Meeting. She is also a drag queen. And I think they're just kind of like making a statement. I don't think they're like ugly per se or bad. I just think they're being they're being wild, crazy girls wearing whatever they want.
I get it. Yeah.
And then this other guy is actually a TikTok star.
Really?
He's a TikToker. His name is Chris Olsen. And
What does he TikTok about?
he's famous. Yeah, I see him on TikTok all the time. He's just being a goofy boy. Just being silly, being
so he
funny.
just does like random videos.
Yeah, he just does funny stuff. He doesn't do anything like anything else.
I honestly, I don't hate that jacket.
No, I think everything looks cool except for that weird
For the wife
shirt.
beater. Yeah.
His stretched out wife beater.
Yeah.
And I don't like the glasses. They look like he's wearing 3D glasses from a movie theater.
I like the jacket. I would not wear that
It looks
that wife beater with it. Just,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to call
I think
it.
I would go with like the monochromatic thing he's going for and would have worn like a red shirt underneath it or something, or just a white regular freaking shirt.
Something a little bit nicer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strange. And then this one is what's his name?
That's the guy from
Dan Levy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's super funny, and I don't think he is dressed out of character or anything. I think he's just, again, wearing fashion. So he's
What
just
is going on there with that?
with his shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like a blouse. It almost looks like he's wearing like a shirt that's very similar to gowns that I've seen. I've seen gowns that are like, they're, you know what I'm talking about, where it's like they're strapless and then it goes
It kind of
up,
comes up. Right.
like
Okay, I
up
see.
to their face, and I feel like that's what
It looks like
it's
he's about
kinda
to like
looks
do a joust or something. He's got that protector for his like
yeah,
face and his
like what
neck.
are you
Like,
hiding, Dan?
I don't know if I dig that.
No, it's
thing.
weird,
Yeah, it's.
but but I don't think it's ugly. Like I think it's artful, artsy.
It's
but
kind
I
of
don't
like
think it's
bland though to
ugly.
be artful. Like I need some more elaborateness out of it if
Yeah.
it's gonna be
It's
a statement
just like-
piece like that.
But
The rest
cool
of it
guy.
looks pretty good though. I
Yeah.
mean the slacks, the jacket.
yeah, I think it looks cool. But those
Yeah.
were my findings.
Yeah, those are pretty good. I mean, there
Yeah.
were some great dresses for sure. Yeah, I always love looking at all the stuff. I mean, I do like fashion stuff, and so
Did y'all watch the Emmys this year?
I didn't. I'm bad about not watching a lot of TV. I don't know if it's good or bad, depending on.
Well, I don't.
probably good.
I don't ever watch like live TV.
Yeah,
anymore.
everything's-
streaming.
Yeah.
So it's like I never watch that.
The only
And
thing
they're
I really
never
watch
often.
live these days is sports, and even then
Yeah.
I'll let it run for like an hour,
So you can like,
so I can fast forward through the commercials.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'll watch semi-live, and well, you have to because otherwise, you'll if I can't watch sports if I know what's gonna happen, and I like to watch sports, so I have to watch them pretty quick. Otherwise, you'll be flipping through X
Accidentally
or something. It's like
yeah.
yeah.
I
In
like
fa-
to watch Dancing with the Stars and like America's Got Talent. Those
Live.
ones, yeah,
Oh,
those ones are fun to watch.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of America's Funniest Home Videos.
Oh.
Not America's
I like
Got
to watch
Talent.
that live. That's America's Funniest Home Videos is pretty much just like watching TikToks,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like TikTok.
but for families.
It's the original TikTok.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. It's funny that that's so popular. So, all right, Sarah, thank you so much for
Yeah.
that excellent insight into fashion. I always appreciate your expertise.
For
So-
sure. And if anybody ever wants to buy me any of those dresses,
Is it on your Amazon wish list?
I don't think they're available on Amazon. But if you want to call up, what was that?
Oscar de la
Oscar de la
Renta.
Renta and ask to borrow that.
I love nice clothes, man. I the designer I like the most is Varvatos.
Never
Which-
heard of him.
Really? Oh man, I love John Varvatos. He's I think New York City. All his stuff is kind of like rock star like themed.
Uh-huh.
Like it's kind of outlandish. I just think his clothes
Is
are
that
like,
the guy that you got the blazer from?
I
Or
have like
sports
I have like
coat?
a bunch of John Barbato stuff.
Okay.
Yesterday I was doing something. Oh no, let's see. Yeah, yesterday I was doing something and I was wearing some Barbato stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, I just love that designer. It's funny, I never see any. I guess maybe it's not as popular with everyone else because I never see anyone like necessarily wearing Barbados. But I'll tell
Are
you.
you talking about like celebrities?
Yes, celebrities.
Does he have like Instagram or something? Maybe he probably has some on there that wear. If it's mostly a male brand,
it's all male.
okay,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that's why it's not talked about as much.
Yeah,
Because
that probably
they
is.
don't usually like
Yeah.
I don't even think
But their stuff
guy-
is like sick. I have some really, really awesome outfits from Barbados. I probably have.
Oh well, Giorgio Armani.
I probably
but
have
that's
about
what that
10
other guy was wearing.
Barbados outfits of very jackets, shirts, stuff like that. I just really every time I go in there, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get out of here before I like spin away my pension.
I don't think I've ever
don't have a
bought like
pension.
anything that's like couture, like something that's like that high end
Really?
of clothes.
Yeah,
I've bought like purses and shoes that are a little bit more
I
high
do
end,
like clothes.
but I've never bought clothes that are that high end.
Yeah, I do. That's one of my things I like is clothes. It's a product of growing up in the '80s. I think I was very impressionable in the '80s. I was like 6 to 16, and seeing all this stuff on TV and MTV and people wearing flashy clothes and like you just get and at the time everything was about labels.
Yeah.
And it just like it's like gets burned into your brain, I guess.
For sure.
My daughter's kind of like that. I was gonna say my son doesn't care.
Well, we're
at
in
all.
another age of MTV. It's just on the
Yeah.
social media.
My daughter really is into like she's been hounding me for a Balenciaga purse. I'm like, look, I can't buy you a Balenciaga purse.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. I mean, it is an awesome purse. Like I think it looks amazing, but
You're like, I hope you get that one day, but not for me.
I want to get it for you, but your mom will kill me if I get you a Balenciaga purse. She's probably gonna end up with it one day. It really is pretty awesome. But anyway, all right. Thanks, Sarah, for that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Please hit the like and subscribe button and leave us a comment. We would love to do a segment about a topic that you tell us about. So we'll see you next week on Nip Talk.
Bye.
Bye.